Aloha. Got a minute? My Bible is open to the book of Daniel, chapter 3. Look, you know this story. This is the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. One of the best known stories in all of scriptures. And perhaps even some people's very favorite. But you know the story. Nebuchadnezzar, huge statue of gold out there in the plains of Dura. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego refuse to bow when the music plays. King says, that's it. It's over. Furnace for you. Fiery furnace. But here's one of the... So, look, you know the story. What I'm trying to do in this little short series, Daniel 1, Daniel 2, Daniel 3, I want to share what I consider some of the more obscure but rather intriguing aspects of the story. So there's one little cryptic line here at the very end of this chapter where King Nebuchadnezzar declares and says, there is no other God who can deliver like this. So listen, let me ask you a question. So Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they were faithful. I mean, they refused to bow. They end up in the fiery furnace. God shows up. Jesus shows up. In fact, King Nebuchadnezzar, I mean, it blows his mind. He says, what in the world's going on? I thought I threw in 3. How come I see 4? Here's the point that I want you to consider. And it is simply this: God's divine appointment for you. So listen, let's just, now, look, in heaven there's no calendar. God doesn't need a calendar. So let's just set this straight, all right? See, God is omnipresent. God is omniscient. So he knows everything. And he is everywhere. So God doesn't need a calendar to remind him of anything, because he never forgets, and he doesn't need to be reminded because he's already there. But let's just say, for illustration's sake, in heaven there's this huge cosmic calendar. And years before this story in Daniel chapter 3, it could have been hundreds of years, thousands of years, we don't know. But somewhere along the way, that heavenly calendar, God had jotted down, meet Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the fire. It's in the calendar. God knows what's coming. And so God, he's fully prepared. It's on the calendar for that day, that specific time. It's in the calendar. Meet Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the fiery furnace. Let me ask you this question. It's in God's calendar. He's fully planning and preparing and anticipating being there in the fire with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Here's the question. What if they hadn't shown up? I mean, what if Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego hadn't shown up? I.e., what if they had bowed to the king, to the image, thus they were not thrown into the fiery furnace? What if they had missed this divine appointment with Jesus, walking in the fiery furnace with them? Something to think about, isn't it? You see, if they had bowed, they would have missed out on the greatest experience of their entire lives. In the furnace, in the flames, safe with Jesus. What if they hadn't shown up? Jesus did. What if they hadn't shown up? So listen, my friend, so out of this little story, just as this one little obscure thought, and that is simply this: don't miss your divine appointment. Don't miss it. I mean, so you look at biblical history, they all had their divine appointments with God. Abraham, Moses, Isaac, Joseph, on and on and on, Peter, Paul, Matthew. But they had their day. This is your day. This is your time. And so don't miss your divine appointment with God. So whatever it is that you're going through, whatever is your Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego moment in life, don't miss it, because Jesus says, I'll be there. I will meet you in your furnace. I will be there with you. Hallelujah. What a God. The the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, is the same Jesus for you and for me.